Meghan Markle's over-the-top return from the Invictus Games sparks outrage. Meghan Markle has done it again. This time, it's not a Netflix deal or a new podcast. It's her grand return from the 2025 Invictus Games that has people talking. And not in a good way. The Duchess of Sussex was seen stepping off a private jet in California, surrounded by an entourage and an extravagant amount of designer luggage, a spectacle so excessive that it immediately raised eyebrows. Why so much luggage? Was she moving back to the UK? Fleeing the country? She was simply arriving home. But the scene, carefully staged, down to the last Louis Vuitton suitcase, felt more like the arrival of a Hollywood diva than a woman who once claimed she wanted privacy. Love keeping up with the British royal family? Hit subscribe and never miss a moment of royal news. And then came the paparazzi, not just one or two rogue photographers, but a well-placed, conveniently positioned group that miraculously managed to snap her arrival at a secured location. Coincidence? Not likely. The calculated nature of the spectacle left critics convinced that Markle had tipped them off, ensuring that every moment of her grand homecoming was caught on camera. But if Meghan expected admiration, she got Whoopi Goldberg instead. Whoopi Goldberg takes aim on The View. Whoopi Goldberg is not one to hold back, and she made that very clear on The View when she mocked the entire event on national television. So, Meghan Markle steps off a private jet, looking like she just came back from winning an Oscar, Whoopi said, rolling her eyes. And the luggage? Honey, how much stuff do you need for a week-long trip? Was she packing the crown jewels? The audience erupted in laughter. But Whoopi wasn't done. She leaned in, her signature smirk growing wider. And you know what's really funny? Somehow, all the photographers just happened to be there, waiting at a secured location. Almost like she told them where to be. The shade was undeniable. The implication? Meghan orchestrated the whole thing, as she so often does, for maximum exposure. Social media backlash, privacy queen or publicity machine. If Meghan thought the internet would be kinder, she was sorely mistaken. Within hours, Twitter, or whatever Elon Musk is calling it now, exploded with criticism. She left the royal family for privacy but has a whole camera crew following her? Make it make sense. A private jet, designer luggage, and a red carpet-worthy entrance. Yeah, she's just like us. Harry's at the Invictus Games actually working while Meghan's making an airport runway look like a Met Gala. The hashtags? Hashtag Meghan Markle exposed, hashtag privacy for me but for thee, and the brutal hashtag LuggageGate 2025. Even some of Meghan's former defenders found it hard to justify the level of excess. Where was the authenticity? The humility? One user summed it up best. At this point, Meghan Markle isn't a duchess. She's a reality TV star without a show. The suspiciously convenient paparazzi presence. Now, let's talk about those paparazzi. Meghan and Harry have spent years complaining about the intrusion of the press. They even sued multiple tabloids, citing privacy violations. Yet, miraculously, photographers were waiting at the exact moment Meghan landed, at a private airstrip, no less. Industry insiders quickly weighed in. One celebrity photographer revealed the obvious. Paparazzi don't just hang out at secured locations hoping for a shot. Someone told them to be there. And in this case? That someone was probably Meghan herself. For a woman who claims she hates media intrusion, she sure seems to know how to orchestrate a perfectly timed PR moment. And the contrast between her and the rest of the royal family could not have been clearer. Comparison to the royal family. A lesson in discretion. Royal watchers wasted no time in pointing out that when Prince William, Kate Middleton, or even King Charles travel, they do so with discretion. Even Queen Elizabeth, in her lifetime, was never seen stepping off a plane with a mountain of designer luggage, in full makeup, with photographers waiting. Instead, the royal family travels with dignity. They arrive, step into a car, and continue their work, without Hollywood-level theatrics. But Meghan? She turned her return into a spectacle. A spectacle that backfired. Hollywood reacts. The Markle narrative is crumbling. And then came the Hollywood reactions, because let's be real, Meghan Markle's real audience isn't the British public. It's a lit. But even Hollywood insiders are starting to turn on her. One PR executive, speaking anonymously, admitted, "Meghan is losing credibility. People are tired of the contradictions. She says one thing, but her actions tell a different story. You can't claim to want privacy while calling the paparazzi to photograph your every move." Even some A-list celebrities who once supported Meghan are now distancing themselves. The constant PR stunts are exhausting. People in the industry are rolling their eyes. And that's the worst thing that can happen to a public figure, becoming a punchline. The stark contrast, Meghan versus Prince Harry. And if all of this wasn't bad enough, Meghan's biggest critic may not even be Whoopi Goldberg, social media, or the royal family. It might be her own husband. While Meghan was busy staging her grand return, Prince Harry was still at the Invictus Games, actually working, focusing on the cause. Attendees noted that Harry was fully engaged, taking time to meet with veterans, ensuring the event ran smoothly, and showing genuine emotion, a stark contrast to Meghan's Hollywood-esque performance. And this contrast did not go unnoticed. Harry was at the Invictus Games doing actual work. Meghan was at the airport doing a Vogue cover shoot. Harry fights for veterans. Meghan fights for camera time. The question now isn't just about Meghan's credibility, it's about her future. Final thoughts. Is Meghan Markle losing the PR war? Meghan Markle built her brand on narrative control. But in 2025, the cracks are showing. Her return from the Invictus Games was meant to be a carefully crafted moment, but instead, it exposed the very contradictions that have fueled her critics for years. The Whoopi Goldberg mockery, social media backlash, Hollywood's growing indifference, and the glaring contrast with Harry, it all points to one conclusion. Meghan's PR game is no longer working. So the real question is, how much longer can Meghan Markle keep up the illusion before the world finally stops paying attention? Because, at this rate, the only thing people are watching is her downfall.